President Trump is pushing the trade war to new heights, unveiling sweeping new tariffs on virtually every country.
Yeah, most new tariffs will take effect Thursday instead of today as originally planned. However, a 35% fee on products from Canada took effect at midnight. Mexico was given 90 days to make a deal to stop its rate from jumping from 25 to 30%. Japan, the EU, and South Korea have made deals for 15% tariffs. But Trump has announced 25% tariffs on goods from India and signed an executive order for 50% tariffs on Brazil. China is currently paying 40%, but that could jump if it doesn't make a deal in 2 weeks.
Joining us now is Daniel Tannebaum, a partner at management consulting for Oliver Wyman. He's a senior fellow at Atlantic Council. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
So the tariff deadline extended once again, except for Canada. There's a going into effect and a little bit higher than anticipated. Can you talk about why that is? I guess also Mexico getting a 90-day extension. Can you kind of break down for us what's happening here?
I mean, the why is a real question in all of this. And that is kind of the challenge. It's why some of these tariffs are being challenged in court right now. But the initial purpose of this latest trade dilemma is to try and increase the wealth of America through domestic manufacturing, through the tariffs that the president believes countries pay through to the U.S., which, as we now know, are ultimately borne by the consumer. So the why, he's looking for other countries to open their markets to allow freer U.S. trade into those countries. But if you look at some of the higher tariffed countries out of the U.S., these aren't countries that buy a significant amount of American goods or have the GDP to pick up more American goods. So there is a real question of how this will play out.
Absolutely. And so how does this latest delay for many of those countries affect the global supply chain?
Well, and I'm glad you called it out, because remember, it was first July, now it was August 1st, and then he snuck in the August 7th bit, pushing it out even further with the exception of Canada. It creates a ton of uncertainty for companies that are trying to manage their costs to keep the goods prices to consumers reasonable. They can't make certain changes because of this evolving tariff strategy. So business is largely paralyzed to try and do anything different to manage this cost dilemma. And the flow through, the impact of some of these tariffs, even for goods that are made in the US, where you rely on raw materials coming from elsewhere, it'll ultimately take time for that to flow through and hit consumer prices, which we will see later this year.
Well, I think the other thing people may not understand is I've heard a lot in the media reported, especially with that 90-day extension for Mexico, is like, oh, it's a sigh of relief there. But I know a number of people who have to do business in Mexico going, oh, my goodness, we still don't have certainty.
Right.
It's really confusing right now. Then you layer on top, the president's going to put a 40% tariff on goods that are found to be evading the tariffs without any guidelines of what companies are looking for. It really does create a paralysis in global trade. But what we do know is that goods are beginning to increase in prices. A number of auto manufacturers have taken losses already and signaled that price increases are coming. The irony of all of this is that American cars are going to end up more expensive than Japanese cars because of the tariffs, because Japan pays a 15% tariff. U.S. manufacturing in part relies on raw materials that may be subject to a 50% tariff, like on copper and other metals, 25% on manufacturing in Mexico and Canada. So the irony is that American manufacturing will end up getting more expensive, not less.
Oh, wow.
So I have a question for you. When we're looking at the Dow, which is obviously playing out right now, we're in the negative about 700 points. This tariff news comes with the delay to August 7th again. Obviously, that's likely impacting investors who are looking at this back and forth. But also, this jobs report at 73,000, does the Fed have a real conundrum here?
Well, again, the Fed has signaled, and part of why Chair Powell has pushed back on the challenge of rate reductions is because of this tariff uncertainty. So the situation and the desires of the president to see lower interest rates is in part made of his own doing. The challenge here is that investors don't fully seem to appreciate the knock-on effect of some of these actions. Just a few weeks ago, we had a large U.S. automotive plant that shut down 3 assembly lines because they didn't have enough rare earth elements from China, because China had begun banning them. the market didn't react at all. I do think it's going to take time for this flow through to consumers to hit, and then the stock market to ultimately have an impact.
Yeah, you mentioned this making things, American manufactured goods, more expensive. Is there any way in the long term that the long-term plan that Trump is selling, that this makes things better for Americans, eventually works out, or do you think this is completely going in the wrong direction?
Look, it's certainly possible. The idea of increased domestic manufacturing has been a long stated priority of this administration, of this president. But let's face it, we're at almost full employment, even with today's jobs numbers. So who are taking some of these additional manufacturing jobs? There's also the practical realities of if we put a 50% tariff on coffee, we can't grow coffee beans in the US. So what is the solution other than kneecapping ourselves with these increased tariffs driving up consumer prices?
All interesting
I
points.
know, and lots of questions that we'll have to wait for the answers to. Daniel Tannebaum, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.